Hey guys, my name is Svetoslav Dimitrov, and this is the Calm and Profitable podcast show where we talk about how you can enjoy more leads, sales, and profits without hating your good-looking self. So for today's episode, I have with me Svetoslav Dimitrov. Hey Svet, how are you doing?
Hey, Torres, how are you? I'm doing great, man. Thank you very much for the invitation. Very excited to be here.
My pleasure, man. It's funny. I mean, okay, you like this nice intro, and we have been talking for like 5 or 10 minutes, but yeah, that's good. So yeah, I mean, now Svet is a savvy, detail-oriented copywriting consultant based in Sofia, Bulgaria. He has worked with numerous 7, 8, and 9-figure brands in Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, and Singapore. His copywriting and marketing prowess is responsible for bringing over $20 million in profits for his clients and his own offers. And Svet is married with a baby on the way. And when he's not brainstorming new ideas with his partners, he's probably mastering his linguistic skills or cooking a delicious meal. And lastly, fun fact, Svet loves doing push-ups in public places and has a crush on tractors. That's a great intro. Yeah, I mean, I really like this. You know what? Like, I just remember this. One thing that's missing from this intro is to give you like a title, so we can also call you the most ripped copywriter in the world. I mean, you have this title right now.
All right. Yeah, good. I like this title as well. So
that's sweet. Yeah. So anyway, so the format of the podcast when I have a guest is a little bit different than usual. So I asked Svet to come up with a few stories for us that he's going to share. And whenever he shares one of the stories, I mean, we're going to try and extrapolate like a few lessons from each one of them. And yeah, this hopefully will get us going. So Svet, what's like the first story you have for us?
All right. Well, since I am right now mostly doing writing, and that's how I'm putting food on the table, I can probably share how I got into writing in the first place, because my background is in international relations and European policies and politics. But I'm not doing any of that right now, although I can say that politics has definitely helped me become more persuasive and convincing. As you all know, that if you want to be a politician, you have to convince people to trust you, which is harder and harder each day, which actually is similar to what copywriting and marketing is nowadays, because people are getting more sophisticated and they need more convincing. So anyways, I actually had a government job, and then I quit it in 2013, and I was traveling with my family in Europe. And then we stopped at the hotel in Switzerland, where I went to the lobby and I was going to check my email, but I realized I didn't know the password for the Wi-Fi. So I saw there was one Asian girl in the lobby, and I asked her whether she knew the password for the Wi-Fi. And then we got to a very long chat. I think it was like around 2 hours. We talked about everything. She said she was from China, and we talked about philosophy. We talked about economy. We talked about a lot of different stuff, traveling. And she invited me to visit her in China because she was going back in a few days. So it's like several months after that, I went to China with a friend of mine, and she took us around, and I was really, really, really impressed with China, although we spent like just 8 days there. And then when I came back, since I've already quit my government job, I was thinking what I should do next. And I realized maybe I can just pursue a job or an internship or something in China. And I started also learning Chinese, which was a very, very big feat, because it's so much more different than European languages or other languages. And a few months after that, I secured a job in China. But at that point, like just a few days after I went there again in a different city, it was like I realized that it's not going to be the job I dreamed about, and I worked my butt off for like 6 months, like studying Chinese for 5 hours a day, and just I was even into manifestation, like manifesting how great my life is going to be there. So I went there. It didn't turn out to be as amazing as I thought, but I still got a lot of stuff to do there, and I was still impressed with the country, but not with the job I had there. So then I came back, and I realized that I still want to share all my stories, because I had few stories. I traveled to great places with breathtaking scenery, and I just wanted to share everything. I knew I didn't want to go back to an office job again, so I decided to create a website. It was like a travel blog where I shared my stories. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to support myself with my website initially, at least, and that's how I started applying for different jobs. So that's how I got into writing, into content writing, because I started with a travel blog, but at the same time, I knew that I had to also do some other writing on the side so I can support myself. And the big lesson here is that I would say everything in life happens for a reason, and sometimes you need a few days to realize it. Sometimes you need like a few months to realize that, and sometimes you need like a lot more time to realize why it's happening. But at the same time, if you just follow all the signs that the universe, God, or whatever you believe in, I'm not judging. Everybody's free to believe in whatever, but I'm really sure everyone knows there's something that's above us, that's helping us, giving us signs that we're doing something. And if we are not on the right track, it's going to give us signs that we need to change that direction. So that's how I realized that, hey, I went to China. Like I met this girl, I went to China, I loved it. And I came back. Obviously, like I wasn't on the right track going there. Maybe at some point I will in the future. You never know. But when I went back and started writing, I realized that this is what I want to do. And I can also relate a little bit that to my failed, like I applied because I studied, as I said, European policies and politics. And I applied for a lot of those EU institutions that are based mostly in Brussels and in the west of Europe. And I think I've written like 150 or 200 cover letters for different companies, just trying to impress them and become an employee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I realized later, much later, like 5 years later, that this has helped me a lot to develop my writing and persuasive skills. So it was all related.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. First of all, I'm a shameless bastard, so I'm gonna ask about the Chinese girl. Was this like any romance going on, or it was like purely platonic?
There might have been some romance going on for a day or two, but yeah, I just went once to visit her and I came back, and as I said, I visited another city when I was working.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, look, man, I didn't know about the Chinese thing. Like, I actually can speak a little bit of Japanese. I cannot write like to save my life, but I can, and those like Asian languages are like, man, so different. Like there's nothing common. Maybe some Americanized words. I'm not sure how are things with Chinese, but in Japanese, a few words here and there that are like American. So I mean, one question I have for you is like, okay, what made you realize that, okay, I spent like 6 months studying 5 hours a day, the language. And then I finally get a job after all this hard work. Okay, what made you go, okay, this is not for me? I mean, did anything happen? I mean, how did this happen?
It was a funny story because like I thought like the company I was working for was called European American Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which sounds amazing when you hear it. When you hear the name, it's like, wow, this sounds so prestigious. You're like,
very cool.
Similar government job, blah, blah, blah. And on paper, I was supposed to like be going to some different events, seminars, meeting with different governmental and non-government organizations, organizing fairs around the country. And it was supposed to be a great experience. But at the same time, when I went there, I realized that all I had to do was like help my Chinese colleagues fix their Chinglish, which is Chinese English. And also part of my job was like to send what I would say is like big spam on the LinkedIn where I invite people to join these events or fairs. And most of the time, my Chinese colleagues were inviting students that were in university that were studying like mostly foreigners, because in China, if you like invite a foreigner to a fair or an event, they might feel like he's a business owner, he has some money to invest into buying some stuff or I don't know. So most of the time it was like it looked very, very fake, and they were getting paid only like from a government institution or something, only to bring people there, but it didn't matter the quality of those people.
Yeah.
So as long as they were foreigners, it was all right. It didn't matter that they were students, that they didn't have a single yuan, which is the currency there to invest. It didn't matter to them, or at least, I don't know. So I realized like, I probably didn't realize that on the first day, but I saw that it was very chaotic. They gave me a computer and some software, which was in Chinese, and I knew very basic Chinese. Still, I couldn't like operate a software and communicate in Chinese. I knew how to like order food and do some basic stuff. And also the CEO of the company didn't speak any English, and I was like, what? Like, I thought it was like European American, and everybody spoke English, and my Chinese colleagues spoke some English, but it was not perfect, and the CEO didn't speak any. So it was something that I like realized on the first or second day. It's like, oh my God, this is not really what's going on.
Disaster. It's a disaster. Yeah, sucks. Okay. That's good. You also mentioned that my connection went a little bit off when you mentioned it, but you said that you wrote like 100 to 200 like cover letters to get a job in China. Was that correct?
No, that's not what about the job in China. But as I said, that I graduated.
From the
for the European institution. So I wrote a ton of cover letters for like European Parliament, European Commission, whatever. There are like many, like 20 something institutions, and I've applied to at least 10 or 15 of them, and and some other institutions as well. And I realized that every time I was trying to make my writing better and better and better. What can I change here? What can I change here? So this has helped me a lot with when I started writing for a living.
That's nice. So if you had like to take a step back, what would you say is one thing that you improved with your cover letters?
I think I had a much better structure. I also like obviously, if I look at my cover letters that I've written like several years ago, I can probably just throw them in the trash and rewrite them. But I was
that's the sign of a good copywriter. If you don't hate what you wrote like a while back, you're not improving. Yeah.
I mean, there were some good spots, but I was like trying to impress them with very fancy vocabulary, which I think wasn't that bad when you're applying for a big company.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just trying to like flex my vocabulary muscles instead of like just saying why they need to invest in hiring me and why I'm the best fit for the job, and not just talk about me and my achievements, but talk about them and how I can help them that way.
Yeah, makes sense. Were you sending them like to specific departments or to specific people in those like places? How did it work?
If it was for the European institution, which was most of those applications, I think it was like through a website, and they would go through to a bunch of people, I guess.
Yeah.
If it was for just like an organization, I think it was still through a company website or to like a job board or to like something that I would find online.
Yeah.
It was never geared towards any of those people, which I think right now is a mistake, because it could have had a much better impact if it was sent to, like, say, I don't know, I would say the manager of something, but I don't even remember what kind of positions I was applying for, to be honest, because it was like almost 10 years ago. Maybe not.
Anything that can pay the bills, baby. Anything that can pay the bills.
Yeah, I mean, it was related to what I studied, but since I'm doing something very different from what I studied, that's why.
Yeah. And I mean, like the tip that you just dropped, like, okay, I was sending to a website from the organization, and that's like a little bit generic. I mean, if I knew who I was going to send an email to, this makes like my life way much easier, especially if it's like a cold email or a cold message.
Yes, exactly. But obviously, like 10, 12 years ago, I didn't know the power of contacting the right person.
Yeah. Makes sense. And you have written like some good stuff on how to do so, especially like, I think you also got like an article on Forbes or Entrepreneur, if I remember correctly.
I am a regular contributor to Entrepreneur, and I can post like every 3 or 4 months, 3 months. Yeah, I think it's every 3 months I can post an article. And since 2020, I've posted like 8-9 articles. Some of them have been translated to Spanish, maybe by a bot or AI or something, which is still nice. I mean, most people would understand them, and it's their decision. I kind of feel it's weird that a company like Entrepreneur would translate their articles without any guidance from a native speaker. They would just translate them verbatim, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't know. It's still nice to know that I've reached a lot of Americans and a lot of people in the Spanish-speaking world as well.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. I mean, I understand that those companies just want content for content's sake. Yeah, I mean, I don't know like how their business works. I mean, it's not like they necessarily want to position you, Svet specifically, as an industry leader or something like that. I mean, they just want the content. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's up to them. Anyway, that was cool. So, yeah, I mean, let's move on to the next story. Unless you would like to add anything on what you said.
No, I think I'm ready to go with next story, which is kind of related to what my like initial brand story is. Because like, as I said, I started when I came back from China, I started a travel blog, which was actually also focused on healthy living and stuff about mindset and motivation. So as you can see, it was all over the place. Obviously, not a website that's going to be hugely successful at any point unless I change it completely. but I was also part of the reason that I didn't grow very fast or fast at all at the beginning was like because I was like a content writer / translator / some other writer / blog producer, and I was all over the place as well. Like my blog, I was devoting a ton of time to promote my travel website on social media. And as you know, on social media, it's very hard when you're focused on 5 channels. I literally had like 5 or 6 social media for my website. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's it.
I think it's hard to keep up with 2 when you're very active.
Yeah.
So that was part of the reason I was struggling at first, but and I was also applying for different kind of jobs, which I think it's all right when you're making those mistakes, especially when you make those mistakes early and you learn your lessons. But I think it was like 3 or 4 months after I started, maybe like 4 months after I started freelancing, and I was still like writing like articles, translating, doing my like writing articles on my website, and doing all kinds of stuff. That I stumbled upon a post in a group of freelancers here in Bulgaria, and the guy was looking for a content writer, or as he said, copywriter, because I think in most countries in Europe, people don't know the difference between a content writer and copywriter. So he was looking for a copywriter, but he was actually looking for a guy who needs to write some reviews and articles, which is mostly content. Obviously, for some reviews, you can use some form of copywriting, I guess. But
it's not a good use of your skills if you're like a persuasive copywriter. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, exactly. But at that time, I actually didn't know what copywriter was either. I was like, I knew it was like, I already knew like how to write good articles, reviews, and I was slowly starting to like connect with some people that were copywriters, like Mitch Miller, if you know Mitch Miller. He's like one of the greatest duos. Like he's very, I would say, controversial in a way. He doesn't care about
he's very controversial on Facebook. Yeah.
And he's one of the first guys that I learned a lot of stuff from him. But anyways, let's get back to the story. So I contacted this guy, sent him a few samples that I've written. And he was like, "Oh my God, you are the best copywriter in Bulgaria." Just by nice articles that I've written in like these last few months. And obviously he was wrong about me being a copywriter, but he had some experience with other writers, and they didn't produce as good content as I did. And as you can expect, we started working together, and this was a very steady. He was paying like $600 per month, which was very, very decent at that time, for me at that time. And just like a couple of years, like we became very good. We became very good friends as well. We were talking about his business. He was like, he had a lot of domains, like hundreds of domains, and he was selling some of those domains people for good amounts of money. And he was also building a lot of websites.
Nice.
And at some point we just talked about how we can create a business together, and that's how he, me, and a few other guys teamed up and created some. Because this was at the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, where we launched an initial coin offering. And this was a project, like it was kind of like we called the last train, as we say here in Bulgaria, on the ICO project scene, because it was like they were very popular at the end of 2016 and 2017. So we got like one of the last tickets. Right now, maybe they're still famous. I don't know. But we got this project going on. We like, I was mainly involved in like all the content and marketing, like writing social media posts. We were like writing a lot of emails. We had a few groups on Telegram and WhatsApp, maybe. I'm not sure, but we were constantly communicating with investors. We had a support. I was like also kind of in charge of the support because I did decent French and Spanish, and we had a lot of investors that were speaking only French and very basic English and then Spanish. So it was very, very interesting to see how a small company can both function. That like one of the guys could be the marketing manager or something, but he's involved in all the other processes when you have a very small team.
Yeah, definitely.
And it gave me a really like a good understanding of that every single position in a big company is very important. Even if you're like a support guy, which is like a position most people who don't have a good education like that. Like if you speak English and Greek, for instance, you can get a support position in that, which is still can be an interesting and rewarding position, I would say. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I'm like rambling a little bit. My point was like I was involved in a lot of the processes, and it was we raised around $4 million in crypto. We had a couple of 100 investors. Some of them were very, very big investors that invested like 15,000, 75,000, or like 100,000 or more. But we were also involved with another company that was providing some other stuff, and that's very, very long story, and which is probably the topic for another discussion. But at some point, I just realized we were not very aligned with those people, and especially that guy that I got those steady gigs with, because they were more like, I wouldn't say shady, but at the same time, they had some ideas of doing marketing in a way that was different from me. So I kind of left the project. But it was one of the biggest projects that I've been involved with. I started to realize the power of persuasive writing. I was actually still calling myself copywriter without being, I would say, a
copywriter. Yeah,
good copywriter, because I knew how to write articles. I knew how to write some basic email copy, but at the same time, I was still trying to sound very fancy. And, you know, there was one guy on the team who was kind of involved in marketing, and he knew copywriting or writing at a much more basic level. At the same time, it was more helpful for investors, because they didn't know like some words or, you know, some crazy sentences that I was using. Some of those guys called me that I was using some crack or something because I wrote an email, which I think still was a good email, but it's like, you know, crazy email. Anyway.
Yeah. Lots of hype. Yeah. I mean, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get what you're coming from. Like, okay, especially now, I'm not sure, okay, how you actually got into the hardcore, like sales copywriting, part of things. But for example, I started with primarily guys like Gary Halbert, John Carlton, and the copy is like really over the top. It's like, I mean, how to make people line up and beg you to take their money. So I can see how this would work for like a less sophisticated, quote unquote, shit-heady audience. But if we're talking to investors, I mean, they would be like kind of turned off. Like, because you sound like, I mean, I know that when I was writing my own copy, I sounded like, I don't know, like a kid who was like full of testosterone. I was like beating my chest. But I mean, some people don't want that. Yeah. Especially when investing like a lot of money.
Yeah. Especially that. And I just didn't realize that the more basic the language, obviously it's going to convert better, because it's better to like, when you get very, very good at copywriting, then you can probably try to sound a little bit more creative, more sophisticated. But when you are not a veteran, an experienced veteran, I would say just just write it in very, very simple sentences. It could be like 5-word sentences is better than sounding like very, very fancy. And I think that's one thing that's like, because when I started my travel blog, I was also trying to flex my full vocabulary muscles again. And it was really hard from when you have a travel blog with using like crazy words, like that Grammarly would say you have 100,000 unique words in your vocabulary. And this is very hard to change, to go from there to like very basic copy and try to convince people.
Yeah, I feel you. By the way, that's the question. Did you ever do the handwriting exercises that's suggested in copywriting or not?
I was kind of against that. Like I was like, okay, this sounds really stupid. But last year, I applied for an internship with one of the best VSL writers in the world, Jan Rengel, who is very underground. Or probably not a lot of people know him, but those like the biggest names in the world know him very well. And one of the rounds that I had to pass through was like I had to do two tests. One of them was to hand copy a whole VSL, which was 8,000 words and 40 pages. And it took me like 15 hours to hand copy. But I realized that it's, I think I haven't done it since then, but I realized it has some benefits, and I'm definitely not so much against it as I was. But I would say that if you still want to write well, probably you can at least, let's say you see very good copy and you know when it's good copy because you're kind of decent copywriter or a high level copywriter, then you can, if not hand copy, maybe you can just print it out and then you can type it again or do something like this. So you can repeat the process and realize why they're using those words and those leads or clauses or stories, you know. So definitely, if you're like somebody who is more new to the copywriting world, or you just want to like really sharpen your chops, maybe just try it and see if it works for you. If not, you can always go back to typing on your laptop, but I think it has some benefits definitely.
Nice. You know, it's like funny because you said you haven't done it, and I actually like swear by it. Like I have probably hand copied like hundreds of ads and sales letters. It was for a while. It was like, you know what? It felt like something very productive because I could get into the persuasive rhythm. I personally didn't have problem when I made this because I kind of started like you. I mean, I was like a hardcore like content writer for my own fitness business, and you know, I would write all the how-to stuff. Then I made like a very small transition into writing like really catchy headlines, not blog titles. I don't remember what's the name for the articles. But when I decided to start writing my own sales letters, and I was also like hand copying those ads, I mean, I could tell like I had no problem switching from sales to writing content. And for me, at least, that was like very useful.
That is very useful. I agree.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned like the internship, but I don't think it was like just an internship. I mean, Frank also said some nice words about you. So just remind me, what did he say about working with him?
Well, at the beginning of the internship, like he was a little bit skeptical, I would say, because I'm not a native speaker of English. But when he saw my cover letter, which like it was a requirement next to the sales letter that I had to copy by hand. The second requirement was an cover letter, which had to be at least 750 words to 1,500 words. And he was really like blown away by it because I used a lot of storytelling. I told a very, very interesting story. I weaved it. I've weaved it in very well with what I like with the sales letter that I had to hand copy. So it was perfect symbiosis, I would say, perfect synergy.
Yeah.
And he said that I might be the next Evaldo Albuquerque,
Nice.
that Brazilian guy who is like the top non-native copywriter in the world right now. So that was a huge that testimonial and social proof for my skills.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, I know that Evaldo is like one of the best, definitely in financial. So that's where people will know him. But yeah, I mean, financial alternative shelf, which is like one of your, I think it's like your main industry, if that you're right.
Yeah, health and supplements. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are like really brutal like niches, and you really need to bring your A game, especially someone like you who works like for 7 and 8 and 9 figure companies. Oh man, that's so good. I had like one question for like, you didn't mention like the guy who actually hired you to write like for him, but one question I had for you is that, okay, he hired you to work for some of his websites, and then you guys later did the ICO thing.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could talk about, okay, how did you handle the client writer relationship to go from someone who was writing just for blogs to then also helping him with such a big project? So how did you juggle this thing?
It was kind of hard at the beginning because we didn't know any of us. We haven't done this project at all. It was like new, and we were kind of, as I said, we were kind of late, a little bit to like the trend and the hype around it. So we definitely made a ton of mistakes. So that's why we hired like this, I would say, an external advisor who also helped me with the copy and marketing. He was also doing a lot of calls with investors, live calls. We also did that with that guy together. We were doing live calls with those that were speaking English. So it was like, as I said, we became very good friends. We were going out at least once or twice a week to some restaurants, talk about business. He was and still is a dreamer. He's more of an idea guy, I would say. Like, he's not the person who would get on his computer and start typing. He's more like, hey, I have this great idea, but I need people to realize it, which is fine, I guess. But at the same time, it felt like we had like so many things in common. We actually played the same video game for like ages, and I think this was one of the reasons that we really got that along. We really loved going out and drinking and eating and just talking about business. So that's how, in a year and a half, we knew that we can start crashing the industry.
Yeah. Because I mean, like client relationship, not just like copywriting, but like everything. Like people think, oh, okay, I got the client, I'll do good work, and that's all. Yeah, but it's not. It's not just that. I mean, you can do like a lot of things, like to help nurture this relationship, and ideally, like get hired to do more complex things. Like, okay, you got started just writing articles and some reviews, if I remember correctly, and then you also like, you became like buddies. You were like rubbing shoulders together, and you had like this big thing going on.
Yeah, I think it was probably his first initial message, like where he said that I'm the best copywriter. But maybe he realized that I'm not just a content writer who's gonna be just receiving orders and being in a client relationship where the client is the big boss and I'm just the employee. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm actually like right now as I'm working on launching my own offer and still getting some client work. But at the same time, I wouldn't call this client work, but I would say I'm establishing some relationships with companies where I can be more of a consultant person who is more like a growth partner, not just a copywriter who is getting orders.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
when you're just a writer that's getting orders, you still have like a boss-employee relationship or employer-employee relationship, which isn't ideal, and you cannot command high prices when you're in that kind of situation. But when you're like an external consultant, I think you can command much bigger money than most people that are working for that company, because most big companies have in-house copywriters, in-house designers, in-house marketing managers, and when they hire an external advisor that has the expertise to really, and I would say a phrase that I really don't like, take them to the next level, but it's kind of like true and a lot of people use it. Like when they want to like grow from, let's say, 200,000 or like 500,000 to like million, they need somebody new to come in and really give them advice on how they, and usually when companies are around the 500K or even like a million, they usually need like, they usually don't need to like do a lot of changes in their business, in their current business structure. They just need to probably like send more emails, like think of some new angles for their current offers, because they already have the customers, they already have the clients there. They just need to rearrange some stuff to sell more. So that's usually not what a copywriter who is just for hire, or who is just like an external copywriter, freelance copywriter that they hire from time to time. That's not what usually they do. It's like when you have a consultant that can help you in the whole funnel thing, like the whole marketing picture, then you can command much higher prices. You can command royalties, equity, or something like that.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, okay, you can make the case that, okay, maybe a copywriter is not like well equipped to do marketing, but honestly, like someone who is studying like the greats, like either like old guys like Gary Halbert, Kennedy Carlton, or even some newer guys. Yeah, I mean, you realize that, okay, all those guys were first like, okay, marketing geniuses that knew how to get into a business and really make it grow. And they did like more than just writing a sales letter or an ad. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as long as a copywriter has like, okay, solid foundations in place. Yeah, I mean, I would like personally, I'm also like working on my offer, and I'm also like having this idea that I would ideally like to bring some other copywriters in the future to do some work. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want someone who's only just an order taker. I mean, I would like someone who can be like, yo man, I mean, I saw this really cool guarantee in this guy's offer in the spiritual niche, and you are in the coaching niche. What do you say we try and use this? Like this, like much way more useful and valuable to a company than just write this sales letter. Okay, write this blog post. Yeah, I mean, it's way more useful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you're probably starting out as a copywriter or a content writer, you usually don't have that much experience, and you cannot understand the whole picture. But I would say, and probably that's like the main difference between a good content, or like between a content writer and copywriter, is because copywriters, especially those that are becoming very good and very sought after, are the ones that understand marketing much better than most people. Because a content writer is usually like, they still probably understand the funnel, but they are not as involved as a copywriter, like the overall picture, like the front end, the back end, how these elements work together, and what you need to focus on exactly. But definitely, I agree with you that when when you've been in the game for a couple of years, maybe even a shorter amount of time, if you've been in-house for a very great company, or you've just landed some great gigs with amazing people, and they have given you a lot of feedback, then you can start realize how everything works, and you can really you can really grow fast and become like a consultant / copywriter, which is much more powerful than just a person who gets hired to do some copy stuff.
Yeah. Just since you mentioned like the consultant, like I'm not sure if you have anything on top of your mind, but would you like to share perhaps like an example of, let's say, a company that you work with without giving their names? And what did you do as a consultant, not as a copywriter? So do you have anything fresh in your mind that you could perhaps share? Just lie. Yeah, don't worry. And we're just going to remove this part. No, I'm kidding, guys.
Okay, let's come with a big lie, like big gurus in the game.
Yeah. I tweaked one word in a headline and I generated $1 billion for this company. Yeah.
No, like I have a recent example, like from
great.
In the last 2 months, I think, was it like a couple of months ago? One guy like reached out, and he's running a lot of offers on ClickBank, like mostly the health and survival niche. So this was in the survival niche. And I offered some insight because he said, hey, I have this sales letter, I need an upsell, and I have this. And then I actually talked also to my mentors, because I have a few mentors that are great guys as well. And because I was like, the resource that they were upselling was like the main product was, I think, do-it-yourself system that you can run at home and produce food. And the upsell was like a resource with a lot of books, PDFs that you can download and use when disaster strikes.
Yeah, that's kind of bad upsell. Yeah.
So yeah, but the main appeal was like, you get a ton of resource, but at the same time, this can feel very overwhelming to the reader. So I was like, maybe we can change this to like say, hey, this is we know this is a ton of information, but we've done the hard work to like put everything in categories, and you can find it very, very quickly. And we have even like we have a category with the most important stuff you will need first, and then just things that are that at first I thought, this sounds great, but at the same time, the reader might not realize this is great, because like when somebody gives you a folder with 15,000 PDFs,
you get lost.
It feels so overwhelming, especially when it's like there's like a flood or some other crazy stuff that's going on, an earthquake or whatever, or the whole like an supply chain crisis or something like this. You don't need 15,000 articles. You need like 5, and you need to read them as quickly as possible, so you can like know what to do when the banks collapse, or when you want to make money online because you've been kicked out of your job because something scary is going on. So this was kind of a small consultancy thing. I think that I did, and the client liked it, so it was good.
Yeah, that's nice. And I mean, I think I'm personally like an information product junkie. I mean, other people like drink alcohol, they smoke cigarettes. I just buy small info products for fun. Like, it's one of the most lamest hobbies in existence. But I mean, one thing that a lot of like business owners, especially those who sell information, haven't realized yet is that the age of selling like a ton of things and just like throwing them to the reader, to the buyer, it's over. Like, people just want like something like, can't you give them like the information like in one page instead of an entire book? I mean, if people are gonna like appreciate this like much more. And yeah, I mean, we always think that, oh, I need to give them more. But yeah, I mean, it's not like just about information. It's also about like implementation, making things like much more easier to consume.
Yes, I agree. Definitely. Like I'm working on a consulting offer that's with another genius copywriter and consultant. And we've written a few, I would say, like guides, short guides that are like 8 to 10 pages, like a couple of thousand words, that are very action packed, and that can help digital creators that are making a couple of 100,000 per year to really grow fast. And we obviously, like, the first draft of that guide was like, I think 10,000 words. So it was like 40 pages. Then we made it much more concise, like 8 pages or even like 6 pages, because we know, and as you said, people need something that's like much more action packed, and they don't want to be spending like hours and hours sieving through information. That's most of the time it's just fluff. You need very, very concise information that you can do right now to grow your business. And tomorrow, if you implement it now, you will see some changes tomorrow immediately. So that's why you don't need like this enormous book that's like 200, 300 pages or whatever amount. You just need something that you can implement today. Sometimes it could be just like one paragraph can help a business unlock tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Come on, Sarah's, what's
it has to include push-ups and tractors, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah, otherwise it's not gonna fail. So if you can do like push-ups, yes. Yeah, it doesn't count if you do them on your knees. Yeah, that's not.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you need to do them like military style.
Yeah.
Otherwise, otherwise you will stay broke forever.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. You mentioned like, and you know what? One question I have, like, if you were consulting someone, okay, are there like a few like surefire suggestions you can give to business owners? Let's say 1, 2, 3. That it's gonna like help them increase their profits, like almost like without fail every time?
Well, I guess it all depends, but most of the time, in my experience, working with various companies in various sizes and forms, is like there's always something that they can do right now in their current business structure that they can just repurpose or rearrange or just do something very, very small and probably uncover a hidden gold mine in their business. For instance, if they are selling a few products or services, and they have usually, because what I'm working on is like established, sometimes even nine-figure brands. Those are very doubted. But when you're just hitting like the, let's say 500K or 1 million, the 7-figure, it's very easy to mess on a lot of stuff, and you can just rearrange. You can send more emails. You can just create a new angle for an offer. You can But when you're hitting like 500K per year, or even 7 figures, or even 8 figures, you have a very big pool of buyers. So the best thing is you can send a big survey asking what they like, what they have bought, what they need more from you. And this survey is the best information source you can get, because this is people that have already invested in you, and you can ask them what they need further. So I think this is the easiest win you can do, and it takes, let's say, at most a week. because you need to create a survey, then analyze the results and allow those people to give you an answer for like 2 or 3 days. And then you can see like, oh my God, like I have 5 services and maybe I can just repurpose some of them, or I can create a new one based on that. Or maybe I have, let's say, a coaching program that's just one-on-one. I can maybe offer it as a group coaching program, and many more people will buy, because like, let's say the one-on-one is like 5,000. Most people can avoid 500 or 1,000, but they are willing to invest in that program. Yeah. And then you can move them to one-on-one or like a higher ticket program. So there's a ton of ways you can do it with high ticket coaching or even low ticket offers. So yeah, this is what I would say. Like, just survey or if it's like, let's say health, because this is one of the main industries that I work in. If it's like health, if you have a pool of buyers, you can ask them what would they like about the product, what they don't like, and then you can create a new product based on that. That's like similar or addresses needs that those people want as well.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, the survey thing is like just like so freaking like powerful. Like I remember when I had like my fitness business here in Greece, I sent a survey. It was like just a few words asking people, hey, what did you recently bought to help you lose weight? Okay. Key words here. Like I didn't ask them like, okay, what do you struggle with? Or what would you like? No, I specifically asked them what they bought, because you only care about what buyers are buying. So where you can sell them more. And what's funny is that at the time I was just offering like info products and coaching, and can you guess what like 80% of my list replied with? Supplements. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. I'm like, yeah, I mean, and I have like, I hated like then, I hate it now, like suggesting supplements for weight loss, other than perhaps something that can help you with appetite. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I cannot sell anything new to those people. I'm doomed. So yeah, that was funny. I also like what you said about I mean, we're going like 1 hour now. I mean, if you want to leave, let me know. But one thing that I think it's also very important, and maybe you can expand a little bit, is taking this new angle. So can you give like a few examples of a business that already has an angle working for their offer, and then perhaps trying something else? You talk about the one-to-one coaching and one-to-many to the group coaching. Do you have any other examples you could perhaps share?
Yes. So I would say that one of the things that they can do is like when they send, like when they have an info product, let's say a guide, like an ebook or something, they can create like a coaching program or like trading.
Nice.
I would say one thing that could be very, very good is like, let's say some people can afford a high ticket program, though let's say it's a $5,000 program. Then some people can afford at most 500, and it's like a group coaching program. And some people can only afford to pay like $50 or $100 per month. And what you can create is like just one training per month, or training every single week that you send via loop video or by email. And those people just get those trainings, like 1, 2, 3, 4 trainings, depends on how much this is going to cost. And you create a list of buyers that have invested just like $50 to get one email or one training per month or whatever number of trainings. And that's very low ticket, but at the same time, if you have a list of, let's say, 100,000 people that are on your list, and 1,000 people buy that $100
offer,
program or not program, but like training offer,
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that's like $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like 1,000 people that are paying $100 per month just to get one training from you, and it's going to be the same training for everyone. Yeah. You're not going to have any calls. You're not going to have any anything. They cannot ask any questions unless it's like very short question, I guess. But if it's like a little video that's like 20 minutes, it still can be very, very helpful to those guys. So you can spend like an hour or 2 hours per month and get $100K, which sounds kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, but it's easy found money that you weren't gonna get anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to have the list, but usually when you're like having high 6 or 7 figures, you already have a big list. And then you can survey, and in this case, you can use a survey and say, hey, this is something that like Justin Goff is doing usually. That's like he surveys his list asking, hey, I'm planning on creating a course on this, and this, and they have to just answer with yes or no, whether they're going to buy it. And then you can see that by the number of people that are saying yes to this product, you can probably create this and get at least low, like high 5 figures per month from just one training or a few trainings per month that you do.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, one thing that some people might see, especially those who are like in coaching and in any type of expert-based business, is that some people actually like have the money for your higher ticket stuff, but they want to start with lower ticket stuff to say, okay, what the fuck is this guy or gal all about? And then if they go through the process, your system, like whatever you have like in place for them, they're like, okay, wow, what's the next step? Okay, let me know. I want to buy more. Because yeah, I'm not sure if this is like very prevalent like in Europe, but especially in America, like people have been like so many times like taken advantage of, lots of high claims, lots of fake promises. So they actually believe like anything that you say, and they really need some time to get warmed up to the idea that, okay, this person is legit. They're not gonna like scam me. And when they actually see this, they're gonna be way more likely to trust you.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I know some people that are just selling low ticket stuff could be against high ticket, and vice versa. Most people are like, hey, I'm just selling $1,000 offers at least to 10,000 to 100,000 sometimes, and I'm not interested in offering anything that's 50. But at the same time, people that have their credit card on their desk or in their wallet and it's already open, it's much easier to ask them for more money than people who haven't even invested yet. So some people need more trust, and I will definitely understand some businesses if they don't consider low ticket offers at all, but I would say most can, and this will allow them to scale and have many more high ticket offer buyers in the future.
Yeah. And another thing that I think like a lot of businesses kind of ignore is that we all have like our buying patterns. So, for example, you cannot sell me anything on a webinar, okay? Because I freaking hate those things. I'm never gonna buy from them. So if you feel like, same, okay. But meanwhile, I would really buy from an email that was like interesting and it kind of gave me the punchline of the offer, or a really well-known, like a really well-written sales page. So a business that's like we only do webinars. Yeah, you're leaving money on the table from people who respond to email, to sales pages, to VSLs, to challenges, to carrier pigeons, to stone tablets, whatever. But I mean, it's like, I mean, if you don't want to add like extra complexity in your business, I understand. But most times, if you have, maybe you have seen this and maybe you can comment on this, Svet. I mean, if you already have like a proven sales mechanism, let's say a webinar, you can like give this to someone who's like paid like a small amount of money and turn it into something else, like a VSL, a sales letter, something that's also going to convert a different part of your audience.
Yeah. I think this is the power of like big names like Grant Cardone or Gary Vee.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. And this means that they have, they are smart people, obviously, because they are making millions or even billions. I don't know. I am not keeping track of their wealth, but they are smart people.
Do you have a life? Wait, do you have a life outside of looking at Grant's and Gary Vee's income? Same on you.
Yeah,
you have a life.
I know.
Yeah, anyway.
I know. But at the same time, I'm saying that these people are constantly creating new content, but this seems on the surface, but they are also repurposing a ton of all the other. Obviously, they have a team. So if you're a solopreneur, you cannot do that alone. But as you said, you can. Let's say you're making 500,000 per year or $1 million per year. You have like $10,000 every month that you can invest into something that can make you at least 100K or 500K more just by repurposing, just by like somebody writing a few more emails or turning a webinar into a VSL or a VSL into a webinar, or using some other platform to grow your brand on, which I think is a great way. As long as you know, like when you have enough content, you can repurpose that and create like so much more content. Obviously, you need at least one or two more people on your team. But if you already have the means, I would say it's definitely worth it, especially if you know where your ideal audience hangs out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you wouldn't be advertising to moms on LinkedIn. I think moms are like moms that are like pregnant or whatever.
On Tinder, you're gonna advertise on Tinder,
or something like this, So you just have to know where to do that. And if you're a digital creator, you're constantly producing more and more content, and you can repurpose it to so many things. Like one article for your website can be like 10 different tweets or reels, or even like it can be turned into a webinar with some tweaks or a VSL, or like there's so many ways to do that.
Yeah. It's so many ways, and people, especially like creators, like, okay, you and I are like creators. So and up until a point, we're kind of like very, it's like an honor thing. Okay, no, I must always be creating like new content. I am not allowed to recycle it. But yeah, I mean, you don't have like enough time on earth to actually like create like a ton of different content and try to be in multiple platforms. Like, you need to learn how to repurpose this stuff. Otherwise, I mean, you will be left behind.
Yeah, and you'll be burned out and you hate your life because you're like, oh no, I need to post there. And then, oh no, I need to post there as well. Oh no.
Yeah. Before you know it, like your girlfriend has left you, or your boyfriend, they don't want to talk to you. Yeah. Because you have like no time. Yeah, that's nice. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, okay, we're near the end. So is there anything that you think I should have asked you and I didn't, given everything we've talked about so far?
I think like in the last few weeks where you were talking about Medium, and I should go post on Medium. So maybe you should have asked me whether I've done it, which I haven't. But at the same time, maybe we can think of some way to collaborate, because I think we're both very smart marketers, savvy people. And obviously, I'm not saying we should just go and post on media. I'm just saying that probably at some point we can think about a collaboration. We are kind of in the same time zone. We have very similar cultures, very similar food. Yeah. So maybe it makes sense.
You definitely have more beautiful women though. So that's a win on your part.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, you know what? I mean, if there's like one thing that's I kind of missed because I was not active on Facebook for many years was finding like people who were like go-getters, who were like taking action like daily, even if they don't feel like it, and they're out there like really hustling. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, definitely we need to do something together. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I mean, one last thing. I mean, if anyone wants to find you, where can they go? I mean, do you want to give you like your social media handles?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook. It's Svet.Dimitrov, so Svet.Dimitrov, like facebook.com/Svet.Dimitrov, or they can just search for Svetoslav Dimitrov, but there are a lot of guys like me. They can find me on Twitter, which is like the fastest growing channel for me right now. Nice. And my handle is the Copy Titan without any underscores or anything.
Titan. All right.
Yeah. Or if they want to reach out, I can also give my email. I'm not expecting any kind of bots from a podcast, so it's very easy. It's svet@copywritingtitan.com. That's also my website, copywritingtitan.com, so they can go there. There's also an about page, a contact page. So
nice.
That's where.
All right. So that was all. You shared the Svet, guys and gals. You can go and find him on social media. So Svet, it was really nice talking to you, man. Thanks for making the time to come here. And yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I'm gonna just pause the recording now. Yeah, I'm not gonna leave the room. Yeah, let me stop recording now. All right. Are you so much?